All right, click the link to join my channel here over. Subscribe so I got a mailbox. Want to mail me some comics or anything cool. So don't watch the show. Challenge accepted. So the synopsis: the atmospheric background of Castlevania is French Revolution. As the peasant class rises up against the aristocracy, even darker threat emerges: cabal of powerful vampires intent on taking over the world and blotting out the sun forever. Oh, okay. I mean, so you've given me some historical context. Fair enough. So the French Revolution, Transylvania, Bram Stoker's Dracula. When I hear those words, I immediately think Black Africans, as I'm sure you do too, because that is what would really bring verisimilitude to the story, to erase the French, the Transylvanians, to erase the people who made the story possible, to erase them all, just kind of a digital genocide, if you will, and improve the story by replacing them with people who have zero connection to the story or the people or the towns or the history, just complete alien strangers. That is what would really make the story better. You take these, yeah, let's take Bram Stoker's Dracula. Yeah, 100 years ago plus written, or Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Yeah, great books, classics. Now let's just swap out the characters that made the. Oh, well, no. You understand? The characters didn't make the story great. The story made the story great. The characters are an integral part of the story. It's weird that you don't see that. So you take the original story, all the intricate, interconnected pieces that go into the willing suspension of disbelief for very successful stories. You take all the attachments between the story and the fan base, and you just cut them off and destroy them forever. You might wonder, why don't they just write their own fresh stories instead of doing this Bolshevik bait and switch? If you want stories about black Africans and the supernatural, why not just set it in Africa? They have wars and witch doctors, and they probably have the equivalent of vampires in The Walking Dead. They have their own supernatural pantheon. You could set it amidst some tribal warfare, which happens pretty often there, as it happens around the world. And they could wear the costumes that are native to the area. The story would have sense. You'd have the location, the sets, the costumes, everything would fit. All the interconnected pieces would fit. Instead, you take them out of that organic setting and you erase the French and the Eastern Europeans from their story and replace them with people who have no history with the story. Where's V from? Is he Transylvanian? Why exactly would you do that? Why would you erase Sweet V? They do it because they hate you. Occam's razor, they really just hate you. They're not shy about telling you. They're on Twitter and on social media. They tell you who they are. It's time that more people kind of start awakening to who these people are and how they feel about you. They want you to know it. They don't value your culture, your history, or your people's stories. They think you're valueless and fungible, but they value your people's ability. That's of course, that's a natural setting. They value your people's ability to write stories because they cannot create stories. They don't have it in them. If they could, they would. The best they can do is take your people's stories and keep the structure, but erase the people that made it possible. Because to them, everything is 1984. Temperature is always 451 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's always a brave new world. One would think this sort of self-ownership would be embarrassing. One would be wrong. They're saying that the best they can do is mimic a story like a cargo cult, but they don't understand why the original story worked. They hate organic stories because those are tribal, nationalist stories. The only purpose to them of a story is as a vector to spread globalist propaganda. If a story doesn't do that, it's failed for them. And if a story came out that was natural and organic, like an original story, it wouldn't. You're just not going to see a movie like that or a comic book like that. The passive aggressive, the hatred they would get on social media for that would just be off the hook. They don't value you. They don't see you as human. They value themselves and their tribe. The fact that your people, or at least your greater extended family, were the ones responsible for creating these fantastic stories doesn't seem to connect to them. It's, like killing the golden goose. It's a European story. It only works with European people in it. But they don't see the Europeans as being important to the story. But the blacks, for some reason, are important to the European story because, again, they hate you and they want you to know that. And they're never swapping out the Europeans for, or even like the French. Like you wouldn't swap them out for Irish. It wouldn't make sense. You get some red-haired Irishman with an Irish accent who's playing a Frenchman. Like why wouldn't you just use a real Frenchman, or a Transylvanian for a Japanese? Like that, but that doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, but we'll do it with the the Sunman community for some reason. Like why are some euphemisms? YouTube doesn't really like it if you YouTube doesn't like colors for some reason, and that monetization goes from green to yellow. I need that $1.83. So this idiot, the designer, says to go complain about something that matters. If race didn't matter, you wouldn't have changed it, and everyone knows that. Their race matters to them. Yours doesn't matter to them. And I mean, more of this stuff would change if it mattered to you much, much more. You had more in-group preferences, and you started speaking up about this kind of stuff. They also know that not enough people will complain about this, which is the problem. But I will say that is changing as people are kind of awakening to this anti-European hatred that has been ubiquitous, prevalent for much too long. And it only changes if you put some energy in it. If you move to advocate and advance the things you're interested in, well, you're more likely to get those things than people who just let things be passively done to them or their group. The squeaky wheel gets the grease for a reason. If you look at social media, you see groups advocating as groups for the stuff they want to see all the time. And like your group is the only group that really hasn't been doing that, though it's changing now and it's making a bunch of people really nervous for some reason. These people are anti-European racists. It's okay to call it out. It's okay to hate them. Like however much you hate them, hate the media and the government and these kind of people, you don't hate them enough. You're really going to need to work on hating these people. You're being marginalized and oppressed and disenfranchised by these hateful globalist parasites. All their definitions of these words, all that Frankfurt School Marxist doublespeak, you can say that applies to you and just turn it around on them. They're the oppressors. You're the oppressed. This is the evidence of it. When you're being replaced in stories, that's oppression. That's marginalization. Just throw their own words back at them. As long as you say it sincerely, it'll blow their tits off. And it's just so much fun to do to them on Twitter. Anyway, F them all in the A. Get on social media. Talk about this stuff. I think the future is a separate alternative economy anyway, away from these kind of people. Comicsgate was an interesting start. It showed people that there is an alternative. There are alternative business models where you don't have to go through these gatekeepers where everything has got to be, this socialist soy boy propaganda, which it's like it's not selling anyway. They're doing this stuff. They're making these movies. They're selling these comics. And it doesn't connect with an audience, and they just keep repeatedly doing it. It's making, it makes channels like this possible and other kind of channels that bring it to people's attentions. I think the more of a separation we have in selling comics and in selling whatever we can sell, like Gab is interesting. And Gab's been around a long time, and it's growing every day. And they have their own, they have Gab Pay over there. Andrew Torber's trying to set something up on Gab, and it's slowly working. It's actually all kind of happening because you look at these people and you realize there's no point in giving money to people who hate you, where you have the option of supporting your own people, or at least people who don't literally hate you for what region of the world you're from. I mean, that's the powerful part about in-group preferences is when you get them, you can start excluding outsiders who don't like you, and including people who do want to be a part of something, even if it's just an alternative economy to build something without all this kind of just not endless globalist propaganda. And the only way to do that is by in-group preferences and forming networks and business models and doing what, all these other groups do to just form some a different type of network to sell stuff and to have, a business plan where you're free to not have to put propaganda in every single story you want to write. At some point, you got to realize that we're awesome and they're the problem. We've never been the problem. We're the solution. We make everything better. We're just, the people of the light are just these rays of sunshine. Anyway, yes, it's okay to talk like that, especially on social media. As long as you say things sincerely where they can't tell if you're trolling or not, and you throw their own language back at them, oh my gosh, it is so much fun Eventually, you'll get death threats, though, as I have. That's just part of the game. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. You can support channel over at Subscribestar. Why would we support this channel? Or send me comics and cool stuff through the mailbox. And I will see you guys all next. Yeah, don't like it, don't watch it. Who is it? Who is that red-haired chick? Oh God, what was that lady's name? Oh, Kelly Sudaconic. If you don't like my comics, don't buy my challenge accepted, bitch. Nobody's buying whatever crap you're. I don't know what she was writing. Nobody's buying comics in general. I mean, the comics geek's doing pretty well because it's not this kind of cancer that the mainstream has been putting out. Don't watch the show. Yeah, say no more. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all next episode.